For this video, I want to go over what I feed my neon tetras, as these are very popular fish and my neons refuse to eat some of the commonly recommended food, so hopefully this will be able to help you get food that your neons will eat and avoid wasting money on food that they won't. Starting off, we have NTLabs Micro Crumb, and this is probably the main food that I feed my neons and they definitely seem to enjoy it. This stuff is absolutely tiny, so it's easy for my neons to eat it with their small mouths, but my guppies, chili rasboras, honey gourami and shrimp all seem to enjoy it too. Here's some footage of my neon tetras eating NTLabs Micro Crumb, and as you can see they are actively chasing the granules around in the water and they definitely seem to enjoy it. The main ingredient in this formula is fish meal and it comes in at around 47% protein. At the time of recording, this is my primary food source for the community tank and my guppy tank, and the fish usually get it twice a day, often with other small amounts of food. Next up we have fluval bug bites, and this is one of the long-term fish food products that I've used pretty much since the day I got it. I've noticed my fish absolutely love this stuff. I initially started to add this to my 29-gallon tank as a food for my corydoras and honey gourami, but I did notice that my neon tetras and guppies seem to really enjoy it too. I have seen a lot of people say that their neon tetras will only feed from the middle of the water column, but my neon tetras will happily pick these granules off the substrate and swim off and eat them. These are a little too big for the mouth of a neon tetra, so they usually put them in their mouth, chew off a little bit, and then they'll repeat that process over and over again. You can put these into a cheap pepper grinder and grind them into smaller pieces if you want to, and I did used to do this myself, but these days I just put them in whole and the neon tetras pick off what they want to eat. The main ingredient for this particular bug bites formula is black soldier fly larvae, with salmon being the second primary ingredient, coming in with a 40% protein content. Research from the National Library of Medicine has found that black soldier fly larvae is one of the more nutrient dense food sources commonly found in fish food, so I do try to give this to my fish at least once a day, but they do get it twice a day on multiple occasions throughout the week. Next up is frozen Daphnia, and where I live the frozen version of these foods is definitely the easiest option, but you can get these live or freeze dried too. I like to place a little cube of the frozen Daphnia into a plastic cup with some water, and then I leave it to defrost before adding it to my tank. All of the fish in my 29-gallon tank seem to enjoy frozen Daphnia, and the guppies in my guppy tank enjoy them too, so I tend to use these as a treat food multiple times a month. It is a bit of a pain to work out the exact nutritional value of frozen food, so I usually rely on micro crumb and bug bites to ensure my neons are getting enough protein and vitamins and minerals. Next up we have frozen bloodworm, and I primarily use these for a treat for my corydoras and honey gourami, but my neon tetras will do their best to eat them as well. Since recording these clips I have started to mush up the bloodworm so it's easier for the neon tetras to eat them, but at the time of recording they were just going in whole. As you can see in the video clips though, the neon tetras will start to eat the bloodworm and then they'll take their time to slowly chew it down bit by bit until they've eaten the full thing. It does look a little strange seeing a neon tetra swimming around with a tiny piece of bloodworm sticking out of its mouth, but they seem to really enjoy them and it does seem to be one of their more preferred foods. I do add bloodworm to my tank once a week, usually on a Sunday, but the corydoras and honey gourami in my tank get the majority of them and the neon tetras just grab a couple when they can. Next up is frozen cyclops, and I use these as an interchangeable treat with the frozen Daphnia. For example, one week I'll add frozen Daphnia and then the next week I'll add frozen cyclops, just to change up the nutritional value slightly of what the fish are getting each week. I have seen some people say that there's something in cyclops that can improve the red colours in fish, but to be honest I really haven't noticed a difference, but that's not why I'm adding this food to the tank anyway. My neon tetras do absolutely love these, and you can see they get excited when I add them to the tank, and in my local fish store I can get 5 packs of frozen food quite cheap as a bulk buy deal, so it doesn't work out to be that expensive either. Next up is fluval bug bite flakes, and I wanted to add these as a separate entity to the granules because my neon tetras respond differently to these. Initially none of my fish would actually eat these, but then I realised it's probably because the breeders who I got them from raised their fish on granules. I have managed to find out that my fish will actually eat some of the flake if I add it as the first meal of the day when they are the hungriest, but if the fish have been fed earlier that day they usually just ignore them and my corydoras or shrimp will end up eating them all. This might be different for your neon tetras depending on what they were raised on, because some breeders will raise them on flake, so it is worth trying different food types. Just like the granule formula of bug bites, the primary ingredient in this one is also black soldier fly larvae, but the second main ingredient in the flakes is heron meal, coming in with a 46% protein content. Now I have tried a lot of other foods with my neon tetras, and for the most part they just ignore the foods and they go about their business, and the food's just left for my cories and shrimp to eat. It is probably a good idea to try a wide range of different foods with your neon neon tetras just to see what they prefer, but I just wanted to share my experiences with video clips of my neon tetras actually eating the food so you can see how they react. Personally, I do try and add as much variety as possible to the diets of my fish, but there's probably no need to offer as many different types of food as me, but if possible I would try and get at least 2 different food options.